Just a few miles down the road, Bree, Timmer, and the Dominator crew were right in the middle of the tornado as debris began to fill the air.
There it is! Roof up! Roof up! Window up! Window up! Parachute's gone! There's a rocket!
March 13th, 2025. 7 days before the first tornado touched down, meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center stared at their computer screens with growing alarm. An anomalously intense upper cyclone was forming over the Pacific, the kind of storm system they see maybe once or twice a decade. This was not just another spring storm. The ingredients assembling across North America would create conditions meteorologists describe as textbook perfection for violent tornadoes. By March 9th, the Storm Prediction Center introduced 15% severe risk areas. The next day, both areas upgraded to 30%. Multiple forecast models achieved remarkable agreement on an all-hazards threat. Supercells, potentially evolving into quasi-linear convective systems. The confidence was building. The atmospheric setup was exceptional. An extraordinarily powerful surface low would deepen to near 975 millibars by March 14th. Central pressure comparable to a Category 2 hurricane. It was among the strongest surface lows ever observed in the central United States. Aloft, a negatively tilted upper-level trough drove intense mid-level jets. A 250 millibar jet stream core screamed across the southern states at 144 miles per hour at cruising altitude. Widespread dew points near 70 degrees created abundant Gulf moisture across the warm sector. Temperatures soared 15 to 25 degrees above mid-March averages. Warmth 1.5 to 2 times more likely due to climate change. This generated CAPE values of 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram, combined with steep mid-level lapse rates. The wind shear parameters were equally ominous. 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity reached 400 to 500 meters squared per second. Significant tornado parameter values climbed to 5 to 10, extremely favorable for violent tornadoes. Benjamin Reppert, meteorologist at Penn State University, observed that if there is a time of year where a storm like this can deliver coast-to-coast impacts, we are in it. On March 13th, the moderate risk upgrade came, level 4 out of 5 for portions of the Middle Mississippi Valley. The forecast described a regional outbreak of severe storms with damaging winds potentially exceeding 75 miles per hour and strong tornadoes. Then came the unprecedented decision. March 14th at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. The Storm Prediction Center issued a Day 2 high risk for March 15th over parts of Mississippi and Alabama. It was only the third time in Storm Prediction Center history that a high risk was issued one day in advance. The previous two were April 7th, 2006 and April 14th, 2012. Both were catastrophic tornado outbreaks. The forecast stated unambiguously that numerous significant tornadoes, some of which could be long track and potentially violent, were expected on Saturday afternoon and evening. A 30% hatched risk for significant tornadoes covered central Mississippi and Alabama. The confidence was exceptionally high. As darkness fell across Arkansas and Missouri on Friday, March 14th, the atmosphere delivered on its ominous promise. Fire Chief Greg Watts was at his Udall home when he noticed the conditions. He recalled that it was eerie. Looking east, they had that big blood moon, and then out to the other side, it was lightning everywhere. I was so glad for the rain, tickled to death for the rain, but then the hail started, pinging the west side of the house. Then it was like it flipped a switch, and it started pinging on the other side of the house. Watts told his wife Zaylor to take their 3 daughters to the back bedroom. Opening the front door, he realized the danger. He kept watching the trees out the window, and they didn't seem like they were moving. But then he opened the front door and looked up. That's when he realized everything was happening up high. The treetops were just going crazy. Watts made a critical decision. He sounded the Bakersfield tornado alarm 10 minutes before the official warning was issued. He later said he knew there was a tornado on the ground in Gamaliel, and it was not going to stop at the Arkansas state line. It did not care if a warning was issued or not. It was coming for us, and we were in real trouble. Renowned storm chaser Reed Timmer was tracking the same supercell. Timmer intercepted the tornado at the Highway 101 bridge. The behemoth measured 600 yards wide, 5 football fields. It was roaring across the Bakersfield Hills at 50 miles per hour in pitch black conditions, illuminated only by lightning flashes. He later posted that it had the loudest roar of any tornado he had chased since Philadelphia EF5, and had that textbook lean and vertical backside. The roar grew louder in Bakersfield, and debris was flying through the air with roofs lifted. The Bakersfield EF3 tornado carved a 35.74-mile path with peak winds of 145 miles per hour. It killed 3 people and devastated mobile homes. Vehicles were thrown 50 to 100 yards. There was extensive tree debarking. Meteorologists detected a debris ball 18,000 feet in the air, 3.4 miles high. Watts and his crew faced horrific scenes. At Zastro Hill, there was nothing left except debris and vehicles strung across the countryside. 2 residents were found deceased. Emma Zastro was alive but badly hurt. Erica Ryan had been carried by the tornado to the woodline and was critically injured. She died shortly after reaching the hospital. They were getting victims out in whatever way they could, Watts said. Sheriff's Department vehicles and pickups were moving through the storm. It was pouring down rain, but that did not bother them a bit. Just 38 minutes after the Bakersfield tornado began, an even more extraordinary tornado touched down near 56, Arkansas. It stayed on the ground for 118.95 miles, the longest tracked tornado of the outbreak, and among the longest in Arkansas history. For 133 minutes, over 2 hours, this EF4 tornado carved continuous destruction through 5 counties in Arkansas before crossing into Missouri. The tornado reached peak winds of 170 miles per hour with a maximum width of 1,400 yards. A remote automated weather station at Blanchard Springs recorded a 151 miles per hour wind gust as the tornado passed. Over 25% of 56 sustained damage. Mobile homes were obliterated and lofted hundreds of yards. Well-built homes were destroyed and swept away. Vehicles were thrown into ponds. Multiple areas showed EF4 damage where homes were swept from foundations. In Cave City, the tornado leveled Souls Harbor Pentecostal Church, collapsed a cell phone tower, and snapped over 40 power poles. Mayor Jonas Anderson later said that it basically cut the town in half. For Cave City, a community with no recorded history of tornadoes, this represented a defining trauma. Near Diaz, Arkansas, the atmosphere achieved its most violent expression. At 11:17 p.m. Central Time, an EF4 tornado touched down that would generate the highest wind speeds of the entire outbreak. It produced 190 miles per hour winds, just shy of EF5 intensity. For 23 minutes, this nearly mile-wide monster carved an 18.62-mile path of catastrophic destruction. Storm chaser Aaron Rigsby documented the aftermath, posting that it was one of the crazier tornado damage indicators he had ever seen in Diaz, Arkansas, and that a home had been taken off its foundation almost in one piece, but split in half. Northwest of Diaz, an anchor bolted home was leveled and swept from its foundation, the signature damage of EF4 intensity. Multiple metal buildings were obliterated. Trees were debarked and denuded. vehicles, and a dump truck were thrown 75 to 200 yards. A steel tank was hurled 3,000 feet. Reed Timmer shared video of this tornado. Forecasters estimated the high-end EF4 tornado near Diaz, Arkansas, at 190 miles per hour, just shy of EF5. This is the strongest tornado in Arkansas since the Valonia Wedge in 2014. Miraculously, no one died. 2 people were injured, including a police officer. As tornadoes ravaged southern Missouri, 9-year-old Aliga Contreras made a life-saving decision. Her mother, Kelsey Webb, initially dismissed the warnings. I was like, "We've stayed here through several tornadoes. It'll be fine." And then she's like, "No, Mom, we need to leave." Webb heeded her 3rd grader's warning, driving away minutes before an EF3 tornado struck Poplar Bluff. The tornado killed 1 person and devastated the Harmony Hills trailer park where the family lived. Their home was completely destroyed. When asked if she felt lucky, Aliga said simply, "We wouldn't be alive." Arthur England wasn't so fortunate in his preparation. He was home in his trailer when the tornado struck. "It picked me up in my trailer, threw me down, and then it picked me up the rest of the way and threw me out the window," he recounted. England found himself standing barefoot in the storm. Hail was falling, flashlights pierced the darkness, neighbors were screaming. It was something that I wouldn't want to see nobody else go through it ever again. His daughter Lisa arrived at the hospital and later returned to his home. Everything was demolished, like cars on top of cars, houses on top of cars. It was unbelievable. Debris everywhere. Like everything just collapsed that we knew. It was like going into a war zone. While tornadoes devastated the Midwest, the same massive storm system unleashed chaos across the entire nation. In Oklahoma and Texas, extremely critical fire weather sparked over 130 wildfires that burned 200,000 acres. Strong winds, with gusts to 80 miles per hour, fueled rapid spread. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, 74 homes were destroyed. 4 people died from fires and high winds. In Kansas, between Colby and Goodland on Interstate 70, a dust storm reduced visibility to near zero. A 71-vehicle pileup killed 8 people and injured over 30. Near Amarillo, Texas, similar dust storms killed 4 more in vehicle collisions. Chicago's metropolitan area was struck by 4 tornadoes overnight. Over 500,000 Commonwealth Edison customers lost power. An EF2 tornado crossed the runway at St. Louis Lambert International Airport while a plane was taking off. That was captured on dramatic video. By the time the sun rose on March 15th, the devastation was already historic. 53 tornadoes were confirmed on March 14th alone, including 2 EF4 tornadoes and 8 EF3 tornadoes, with 13 people dead. The worst was yet to come. Saturday unfolded under the Storm Prediction Center's rare high risk. This was only the 3rd time this had occurred in nearly 20 years. Meteorologists warned of numerous significant tornadoes, some of which could be long track and potentially violent. Particularly dangerous situation tornado watches blanketed Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. At 12:19 p.m. Central Time on March 15th, a tornado touched down near Kentwood, Louisiana. It would become the deadliest tornado of the outbreak and one of the most thoroughly documented violent tornadoes in Mississippi history. For 80 minutes, the EF4 tornado tracked 67.65 miles through 5 counties in Mississippi, with peak winds of 170 miles per hour. The National Weather Service issued a tornado emergency, the most urgent type of warning, for multiple counties. Weather radar detected rotation speeds exceeding 60 knots, briefly surpassing 90 knots. Most dramatically, radar detected a tornado debris signature at altitudes over 25,000 feet, nearly 5 miles high. Debris was being launched into the lower stratosphere. West of Tylertown, a well-built 2-story home was leveled and swept from its foundation. Textbook EF4 damage. A well-strapped mobile home was obliterated and swept away. Near Darbin, 3 people died in mobile homes. A concrete foundation near Collins was swept clean of debris. The human toll was devastating. The tornado killed 5 people, including 7-year-old Carter Young. Curtis Bush was away working when the tornado struck his Tylertown home, where his wife and 17-year-old son were sheltering under motorcycle helmets. Curtis later said that she felt the floor lifting underneath her, and that the house just started coming apart. The two were violently thrown over 100 yards, suffering multiple broken bones that required over a week of hospitalization. One of their 2 dogs was killed. The other, an 11-year-old yellow lab named Linus, went missing. The search for victims was agonizing. One father was prevented from driving home by 2 tornadoes that struck. In the Tylertown area, 2 tornadoes struck 45 minutes apart. Both an EF4 tornado and a separate EF3 tornado hit portions of Walthall County on nearly the same path. Nearly. When he finally made it on foot, neighbors Catherine and John Andre later recounted that he prayed for God to lead him to his son. Eventually, the father found his 7-year-old boy dead in the trees. The boy's mother remained hospitalized. "There are no words," the Andre said. "All we can do is pray for them and help them out. I am glad they found him. Not the way they did, but I am glad they at least have their son." Harry Leon Fain, 83, arrived at the Winterboro Volunteer Fire Department 4 hours early on Saturday to ensure storm shelters were open for his neighbors. "Everybody knew him," said Luther Lackey from the fire department. "He was a real nice fellow." Fain told firefighters he was going home, but planned to return to one of the storm shelters. An EF2 tornado with 120 miles per hour winds struck Winterboro in the mid-afternoon. The tornado was powerful enough to hurl a school bus onto the Winterboro High School gymnasium roof, an image that would become iconic of the outbreak. Fain lived in a mobile home across the street from the high school. 4 hours after he left, firefighters had to search for him. His body was found in the debris. Found in the small community of Plantersville, Alabama, an EF3 tornado with 140 miles per hour winds tracked 24.33 miles on Saturday afternoon. It killed 2 people, including 82-year-old Annie Free. Her granddaughter Tiffany Reed tried calling after the storm passed. After she thought it had passed over, she tried to call Grandma to check on them and could not get them on the phone, she said. "I just jumped in the car by myself and headed down here. I did not expect this." Where Annie Free's mobile home had sat, only a pile of cinder blocks remained. "They found her 3/4 of a mile away with parts of the mobile home," Reed said. Her body was located early Sunday morning, still with parts of the trailer around her. Reed surveyed the scene of splintered wood, cracked cinder blocks, and twisted metal strewn across Plantersville. "It is like it is not real. You hear about these storms, and then you do not really put the feelings behind it until it hits home." Hit home. Nearby, Anita Owens lost her mother to the same tornado. Her mother's body was found about 350 yards from her destroyed residence. "To be honest, you would not think just wind and tornadoes would do this much devastation," Owens said. "I do not really know what to tell you right now about Mom, except she loved everybody." By the end of March 15th, Mississippi had been struck by 23 confirmed tornadoes. 18 tornadoes touched down across Mississippi, and 14 across Alabama. The scale was unprecedented for a single-day outbreak in these states. In Paragould, Arkansas, residents faced cruel irony. The same street hit by an EF2 tornado on May 27, 2024, less than a year earlier, was struck again. Cruel. The Drope family was experiencing their 3rd tornado. Previously Marmaduke in 2006, Paragould in May 2024, and now Paragould again. Misty Drope remembered the warning signs. "There's a silence that happens before a strong storm hits you." And I said, "Oh no, this is not good." The family sheltered in a corner of their house. the only area where the roof remained intact after the tornado passed. Daughter Keely Drope later looked at a photo. In that photo, it literally looked like God just had his hand right there over us, because that's the only part that has the roof left. March 15th produced 49 tornadoes, including one EF4, 3 EF3, 12 EF2, and multiple weaker tornadoes. 10 people died, bringing the outbreak's tornadic death toll to 23. On Friday evening, at approximately 9 p.m., an EF2 tornado struck Villa Ridge, Missouri, partially destroying a Burger King restaurant. 13 people, employees and customers who had been in the drive-through line were trapped in the bathroom where they had taken shelter. General Manager Gabriella Breeding was on the phone with trapped employees as she rushed to the scene, simultaneously calling 911. When firefighters heard people calling out and saw the light of a flashlight, they found and rescued all 13. Miraculously, none were injured, despite the building being severely damaged. Ashlyn Carter Lawson was tracking the storm from her Imperial, Missouri basement shelter when water started pouring in. Between storm waves, she made the agonizing decision to check on the house. "I thought maybe it was done," she said. That's when ceilings started collapsing. She and her husband faced an impossible choice. "We were pacing back and forth. Do we stay here? Do we stay in the basement? Is the whole house going to come down?" As the ceiling collapsed around them, they gathered their dogs and made a desperate escape. "Driving through a tornado, it's terrifying," she later said. As the EF4 twister ripped apart their Tylertown home on Saturday, Haley Hart and her fiancé, Steve Romero, made a split-second decision to hunker down inside their 1994 Toyota Celica with their 3 husky dogs. "It was a bad dream come true," Romero said. He prayed out loud and hugged Hart as the car rolled. A vehicle flipped onto its side, windows shattering, before landing on its wheels again. The couple and all 3 dogs escaped with only scratches. Their home was destroyed. For Curtis Bush and his family, the storm was catastrophic. His wife and son were thrown 100+ yards and hospitalized with multiple broken bones. 1 dog was killed. Their home was obliterated. There was, however, one ray of hope. Their 11-year-old yellow lab Linus had survived, but vanished in the chaos of dual tornadoes striking Tylertown. 10 days passed with no sightings. Curtis said, "You kind of lose hope." The community was constantly searching for him. The Mississippi Animal Project contacted Jason Miller, a cinematographer who uses thermal imaging drones to find lost pets. Miller drove 2 hours to Tylertown and flew grid patterns for over 7 hours, searching the debris field. He said it was a needle in a haystack. He explained that even a broken tree trunk gives a signature similar to what he looks for in a dog. Finally, Linus was spotted near a Dollar General store, about 1,000 yards from where the home once stood. Miller contacted the family in the middle of the night. The reunion was captured on camera. Linus looked bewildered, but was safe. After surviving 2 tornadoes that devastated the same area within an hour of each other, the elderly lab is now thriving and healing with his family. In the immediate aftermath, communities rallied with extraordinary speed. In Cave City, Mayor Jonas Anderson established a command center at Cave City Middle School Gymnasium, which filled with donations. 8 Days of Hope, a Christian nonprofit, took over volunteer and donation management. Volunteers from out of state arrived with chainsaws and jumped in wherever needed. Angie Hooker, a Cave City resident whose son's home was destroyed, said people just started picking up brick and debris. They had to climb through a tree to get out and discovered his home was gone. Had they been 5 seconds longer, things could have been very different. She credited the grace and God for their survival. In Tylertown, Jennifer Thomas, owner of Brumfield's Drugs Pharmacy, converted her store into a temporary donation site. She distributed clothes, food, and other items while running the store and trying to take care of people's prescriptions. "These are my people," Thomas told reporters. The recovery process exposed significant challenges in federal disaster assistance. Arkansas Governor Sarah Sanders declared a state of emergency on March 16th. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe had declared an emergency even before the storms hit. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves declared an emergency and said Grenada County was the hardest hit. But federal assistance proved elusive. Arkansas submitted a request for a federal disaster declaration in April and was initially denied. Governor Sanders appealed and secured a direct call with President Trump. On May 8, 2025, nearly 2 months after the tornadoes, the request was approved, but only for individual assistance in 9 counties. Public assistance for infrastructure and cleanup costs was not approved. Missouri's major disaster declaration was approved May 21st, 2025. But Mississippi's request, submitted April 1st, remained pending through late May. This created severe hardship for affected communities. Royce McKee, Walthall County Emergency Management Director, expressed frustration. He said they did not have a declaration yet, and that people were still hurting. The county had spent an estimated $700,000 on cleanup and halted operations while awaiting federal help. He added that they needed federal help desperately, and that they needed it now. Bobby McGinnis, a Tylertown resident and firefighter, noted the disconnect. He said he knew President Trump had said America first, that we are going to help our American folks first, but they had not seen the federal folks down there. Brian Lowry, another Tylertown resident, was still searching rubble 2 months later. He said he did not know what someone had to do, or what someone had to have, to be declared a federal disaster area, because this was pretty bad. The March 13th through 16th, 2025, tornado outbreak stands as one of the most significant weather disasters in American history. 118 confirmed tornadoes shattered the previous record for any March outbreak. The outbreak intensity score of 147 placed it firmly in the historic category. $11 billion in damages made it the costliest tornado outbreak in U.S. history when unadjusted for inflation. 3 EF4 tornadoes occurred on consecutive days. The Diaz tornado had 190 miles per hour winds, the strongest of the outbreak. The 56 to Franklin tornado had a 119-mile path, the longest of the outbreak. The Kentwood to Collins tornado killed 5 people, the deadliest of the outbreak. At the height of the outbreak, 12 EF3 tornadoes added to the destruction. The outbreak killed 43 people across 8 states. 23 died directly from tornadoes, with an additional 19 from related impacts including wildfires, dust storms, wind-related tree falls, and other causes. Hundreds more were injured. Thousands of structures were damaged or destroyed. Yet remarkable successes emerged from the tragedy. The new Hazard Services convective system proved its worth. The St. Louis National Weather Service office issued 20 tornado warnings and 30 severe storm warnings over 4 days. Despite 2 EF3 tornadoes with winds of 150 miles per hour or more in their forecast area, only 1 injury occurred and 0 fatalities. Only 1 injury and 0 fatalities. Warning issuance time was cut from 30 seconds to just 10 seconds. Critical when every second matters. 10 seconds made a real difference. The experimental Warn-On Forecast system provided up to 2 hours of advance warning for some communities. This early notice was life-saving for many. The Carter County Emergency Manager reported shelter occupancy rising from 4 to 125 people well before the tornado arrived. 125 people were already sheltered when the storm hit. The Storm Prediction Center began monitoring the threat 7 days in advance and achieved remarkable forecast accuracy. Over 300 tornado warnings were issued during the 2 peak days. Over 641 severe thunderstorm warnings were issued Friday through Sunday. Cave City residents repeated, "Cave City will never be the same." Mayor Anderson noted, this was the first tornado in the town's recorded history. "We are a little shell-shocked, if I'm honest with you," he said. Ashton Vickers, a Cave City native, reflected, "It almost makes you want to cry, because out of all the years I've lived here, Nothing like this has ever happened. It's just astronomical. Yet resilience emerged everywhere. A 9-year-old who convinced her mother to leave. A fire chief who sounded the alarm early. A general manager who insisted firefighters search for trapped employees. Community members who showed up with chainsaws before dawn. A pharmacy owner who said, "These are my people," while distributing aid. A drone pilot who flew 7 hours to find one lost dog. Jennifer Walling, owner of destroyed Walling Drug in Cave City, mourned. It's sad. When you start a business like that, you dream about it for years. But within 1 week, rapid progress had been made on debris removal. Mayor Anderson confirmed the annual Watermelon Festival at the end of July would proceed as planned. A statement of determination. The March 2025 outbreak killed 43 people. It also revealed thousands more. Meteorologists, storm chasers, emergency responders, neighbors, volunteers, survivors. They demonstrated what communities can do when the atmosphere unleashes historic fury. The atmosphere gave no mercy, but the people gave no quarter.